only told one person this prior.
I guess the big question is, how much have you guys made?
For our clients, we did over $150 million in sales for that year. We've worked with people like Waller, Tate, Keaton Hoskins, Tom Bilyeu, the list goes on and on.
Where'd your journey start?
Studied engineering back in school, dropped out to like become this entrepreneur, bro. Nothing's really working. I'm like an artist, painting in my mom's basement. Everyone thinks I'm a crackhead. I was following this guy, he's actually pretty well known now. He posted a story that you can make 45 G's in a month. I was like, what is this guy selling crack? Like, I have no idea what you're possibly selling. They went out of business overnight. I didn't get paid a dime. For my 3 months of hard work, and I was back to square one. So basically got scammed by and scammed.
What are the things that you had to sacrifice that some people might not be willing to sacrifice?
I sacrificed damn near everything. So I wasn't going to the gym anymore. I wasn't taking care of my personal hygiene and well-being. My relationships completely out the window and door. I just focused 100% on work.
Did you ever get burnt out?
So
when should I bring on a closer?
like we were already doing well over $1 million a month, and I was still taking the sales calls for my business.
Wow. What would you say your zone of genius is?
If you asked me that question like 2 years ago, I would have said sales. But I think what has allowed me to scale, I've been very good at, and that's the surefire way to scale any business. As long as it's very easy to scale a business. One of the key elements, and this is like some free game for everyone out there.
Ambro, welcome, man.
Thank you for having me.
I remember the first time I heard about you was at Agency Founders this past January in Nashville, and you dropped some gems. There's definitely a lot of golden nuggets in there. So I know the audience is going to get a lot of value from this. So with that being said, I think it would be good to start off with like an elevator pitch of like who Ambro is, what you've accomplished.
Yeah. So owner of NetRevenue. We're basically like a full service recruitment and management firm. So we specialize in building sales operations for education companies, SaaS companies, so on and so forth. So that's like, we've done that for the last probably 10 years or so.
Wow. And I guess the big question is, how much have you guys made?
Over the last like 10 years?
Over the last 10 years.
Oh, I don't have an exact dollar figure, but pretty much we did the numbers for our last like rolling year. And I want to say somewhere in the ballpark of, for our clients, we did over $150 million in sales for that year. Yeah.
And how many team members do you guys have?
So now we're almost at 230.
230 team members.
230 people. Yeah, I'm like amazed every single time because I'll see someone like follow me on social media or we'll be at like a company event. Yeah. And I'm like, who the fuck is this person? I don't know. And I feel like that's obviously, I mean, I should probably figure out who, is working at our company. Yeah. But it's a lot of people.
Oh, that's unbelievable.
It's grown into something huge.
And who are some big names that you've worked with like recently or just in your
We've worked with pretty much everyone you could possibly imagine in the education space. So now we've tried to shift our focus towards, more SaaS, more agency services, but we've worked with people like Waller, Tate, Keaton Hoskins. We've worked with Tom Bilyeu. The list goes on and on. The list goes on. Like any real estate educator you could possibly imagine, we've worked with them. Yeah. Outside of like Ryan Pineda.
No.
So
that's awesome.
We've pretty much worked with everyone. Yeah.
And throughout your whole experience, because I do want to know a little bit about like how you started and stuff. Yeah. Like after managing so many people, scaling so many businesses, like what would you say your zone of genius is? Outside of course, scaling a company.
Yeah. If you asked me that question like 2 years ago, I would have said sales. But I think what has allowed me to scale, because I feel like a lot of salespeople, they get trapped in, well, I'm better than everyone, and it's very egotistical as a whole. So they assume that they have to do every role in the business. I've been very good at relinquishing control, even when it's super uncomfortable. Because for a lot of business owners, in order for them to scale, you have to like remove control. You can't be responsible for everything in the 100%. Business. You have to be able to find the smartest people possible and have the confidence and of course the SOPs and the structure to have them succeed. And I think that has been the biggest thing to allow us to scale. It's like, I'm not gonna worry about controlling every aspect of the business. The one thing I'm gonna control is our core values, the way that I lead, and that in turn is going to leak into every member of the company.
Yeah. So you'd say leadership.
It's certainly an element, but I would say it's more so just knowing myself enough to relinquish control of certain areas of the business. Leadership plays a role in that. It's hugely important, but I wouldn't say it's like the number one thing. I wouldn't say I'm like the best leader possible.
Yeah, 100%.
Like there's way better people.
Yeah, 100%. And I want to learn more about how'd you get started in this space? Because I was scrolling through your Instagram.
Yeah.
And dude, you were a painter.
Yeah.
Right. And a super good one.
And a landscaper. And a bar boy. I was like all the things you could possibly imagine.
So where'd your journey start?
Yeah. So the painting was a huge element of that. It allowed me to build a little bit of a social media following. So I was getting into that space, started running art galleries in Montreal, so little pop-up art galleries. And I was always very entrepreneurial.
Yeah.
So
and how old were you at that point?
I'm probably between the age of like 17 to 19 at the time. Studied engineering back in school, dropped out to like become this entrepreneur, bro.
Yeah.
Nothing's really working. I'm like an artist, like painting in my mom's basement. Everyone thinks I'm a crackhead. It was a tough sell, you know? So, drop out of engineering to go paint in a basement wasn't like the best.
Wasn't like the sexiest move.
Correct.
Yeah.
So then I was like, okay, I'm going to start a landscaping business. We had like these lofty aspirations to like build like a home service app that was like essentially like Uber, but for home services. We were way too early, and we also had no funding, and we had no technical background. So we're like paying these guys in India to code us an app, and then we get back this shitty app after we like invested all of our earnings from doing like 12-hour landscaping days.
Yeah.
And it was just not working whatsoever. So one failed business after another. Finally, I tell myself, okay, I'm just going to go back to school. So went back to school, started, studying to become a financial advisor. And while I was doing that, I was going through my exams. And my last exam, which I've only told one person this prior, I failed my last exam. I just told everyone, I wasn't making money. I wanted to pick up a sales job. No, I fucking failed my last exam.
In college, you're saying?
Yeah, so it was like, it was in Montreal, it's a little bit different, like in the whole like Canadian education system. Like this is like, a CJEP is what they call it. So in CJEP, I'm basically studying for my exams, and then you have to take additional exams that are called like the CSC and the CPH. Anyways, moral of the story is I failed that last exam. And I was basically faced with, gonna have to do another 6 months of schooling and not make money throughout this entire period of time. So I was like, oh my God, I'm so fucked. I'm going to have to either go back to like being a busboy at a bar or go do landscaping again. And then let me tell you, landscaping.
Oh, I bet.
It is not for the faint of heart. Like that was some of the hardest work I've ever had to do. So I was like, that's not happening. And I was following this guy, and he's actually pretty well known now, Daniel G. But he didn't have, the sales following and everything. But he was doing a very like early model of like what a sales agency was. Yeah. And he posted a story that you could make 45 G's in a month. And I had never made 45 G's in my lifetime. Like $45,000 in a month. I was like, what is this guy selling crack? Like I have no idea what you're possibly selling that you're going to be able to actually make $45,000. Yeah. And keep in mind, the education space at that time was like non-existent. Yep. So obviously hit him up. I was like, I don't know what this is, but I want to do it as long as it's legal. So he's like, it's high ticket sales. I'm like, what the fuck is that? Had no idea, never heard the term in my entire life. And I don't think many people had either. But I was like, sure, let's do it. So I started off in that business, and I started off as an SDR. In the first 3 months, I made about like 70K, somewhere in that ballpark. So started off as an SDR, and then eventually I, just through sheer work ethic, I was able to become a closer. And throughout that like 3 month stint, I probably made up around like $70,000. Wow. But, and this is a big but I hadn't gotten paid yet on that 70 G's. And I'm just like, I'm going to work hard first. I'm not going to even focus on the money. Yeah. I'm building this skill set. I'm, going to make something of myself. The money will come secondary. let me just focus on the work. Well, that was a little bit of a mistake because I did that for 3 fucking months. And then finally, I start asking for my money. I'm like, okay, man, like fucking 3 months in here, I got to get paid somehow. And then I kid you not, a day later, Baller Busters comes out for the first time ever. And it's because of a class action lawsuit for the product that we were selling at the time under Daniel G's and Jet Set Fly's name. And basically they had a class action lawsuit. They went out of business overnight. I didn't get paid a dime. For my 3 months of hard work. And I was back to square one.
Wow.
So basically got scammed by Daniel G and scammed by...
How old are you then?
I was probably like 20 at the time.
20?
Yeah. So I'm like 20 years old right now. And essentially what happens is I'm back to square one. I have no idea what I'm going to do. Am I going to go back to school? Am I going to, go try to finish my exams?
Yeah.
I have no idea. And then finally I just decide, fuck it. I see that there's an actual, problem to be solved here. Obviously, all these companies need sales professionals. They need someone who's going to manage the entire operations for them. So I started, at the time, the Stratton Sales Agency. And, I didn't think it was going to work, to be quite honest. So I just named it whatever. And I was watching The Wolf of Wall Street and I was like, whatever, I put so much effort and thought process into branding and the logo and the name for all my previous businesses.
As we all do.
And then they fucking flopped. So I'm like, on this one, fuck it. Stratton Sales Agency. I don't give a fuck. And then it became a big company. So that every single time I would be at any entrepreneur event, they'd be like, oh, like the Wolf of Wall Street. And I would just be sitting there and like, fuck, no, not like the Wolf of Wall Street.
Yeah.
So that was that was basically how I got started in the business.
Oh, dude, what a journey, man.
Yeah.
So there's definitely some ups and downs throughout your journey, right?
Yeah, like everyone who starts
Like
a business.
everyone, right?
Like I could even imagine for yourself and everyone else in this room, it's like you're not gonna accomplish anything great if you're not faced with adversity. It's like that's how it builds the experience.
100%. Because like everyone sees you now.
Yeah.
Right? Like I'm looking at your Instagram now, I see this guy. But I don't know all of the failures that you went through. So were there any like defining moments that you can think of that really like, because some people will have like defining moments where it's like, maybe it's a breakup. Maybe it's, I don't know. In this case, you didn't get paid $0. You're back in square one. Like, were there any defining moments you remember?
I would say that was definitely one of them.
Yeah.
I've had so many that I probably don't even keep track of them anymore. Like there's so many times, even in this business, where I was like, we might go out of business. Like I remember we got our first big client and then 3 months later he dropped us and I was like, oh my God, I'm going to be a billionaire. I got a Range Rover. I got everything. Like I started buying Rolexes. Like this was like, I went off the deep end and then he dropped us and now we're back to zero again. And I'm like having to ask my brother to cover my car payment on my Range Rover. That's a fucking pretty shitty place to be. So there's been like so many of those instances where it's just like, even in the first 3 years of the business were very, very hard. And it's like most people would have quit during that period of time. But either, I don't know, I lack brain cells and I was just like, okay, I'm just going to continue through this process. But just through sheer willpower, I was able to like get through that first 3 years. And then we had built enough goodwill in the marketplace. We had enough customer testimonials and case studies that it became just like a snowball effect.
Yeah. Because managing over 200 employees, I'm sure there's a lot of stress that goes into that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I can't even imagine. So was that a skill that you had to learn or you just had some screws, missing in there?
I think it's a combination of both. Like I attribute a lot of my success to like half like winging it and just going and figuring it out as I go. And then a lot of luck. So it's like it's a combination of those two things. But I would say the biggest thing about managing that quantity of people is like, they're only going to be as good as you are. And if you're not showing up every single day and showcasing what the potential is and what the dream outcome is through your own actions, through your own discipline, through your own behavior, and through the lifestyle that you're building for yourself, you can't assume that your team's going to be great. Like I don't do drugs. I don't fuck around. I'm dialed in every single day with work.
Yeah.
I don't overdrink. I don't overparty. I'm like just a normal guy in a lot of respects. And my team sees that every single day. And I don't speak to them like they're beneath me. I don't speak to anyone that's ahead of me like they're above me. I treat everyone fairly, and I just try to be the best possible person that I could be.
Yeah.
And my team sees that. And that has made it so much easier to manage 200 fucking people because I don't have to pretend every day. I speak to them exactly like I'm speaking to you now, and just like I would speak to any other person on the street. So I think that makes it a lot easier when you don't have to like
100%.
put on a show.
I mean, you are who you attract.
Yeah,
Right?
exactly.
And it sounds like you've set that standard for yourself, and you've also accepted who you are. It's like, this is me, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Which is beautiful. So what are some things that you had to sacrifice to get to the level that you're at? What are things that you had to sacrifice that some people might not be willing to sacrifice?
I mean, listen, I sacrifice damn near everything. Like, for those of you who are listening and don't know, like, I almost was 300 pounds. I got so dialed into work that there wasn't a second where I was not working. So I wasn't going to the gym anymore. I wasn't taking care of my personal hygiene and well-being. My relationships completely out the window and door. Like, I just focused 100% on work. And I think a lot of people, do you have to bring it to that extreme? Of course not. Like, I think there's also a balance of life. And now, of course, as the business has scaled and I have more free time and I have more capital, I'm able to prioritize certain elements of my life. But in those first 3 years, you have to sacrifice. Like, it's the number one thing that holds most people back from building a great business is they want the nice things.
Yeah.
They want the vacations. They want the free time. It's like, no, motherfucker, you build a business.
Yep.
You're not getting freedom for at least fucking 5 to 10 years.
Yep.
Like, you are sacrificing everything. That means for the first, I would say, 6 years of the business, I did not take a vacation. I did not take a weekend off.
Wow.
I didn't fucking take Christmas off. I didn't take New Year's off. I didn't take a holiday off for 6 fucking years. I was on call all the time. In the beginning stages, I was taking the majority of the sales calls. I know when I came in here, you were telling me how you're, in the process of getting your first salesperson.
Yep.
Up until like a year and a half ago, I was taking all of the sales calls for all of our new partners. So you have to be willing to sacrifice. 100%. You have to be willing to do the work.
Well, because it takes the most amount of fuel to get the jet or to get the plane off the ground.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right? Where people just see the plane already flying and they see, like, let's just say, like, your life or anyone's life right now, they're going on the vacations and stuff, and they're like, okay, I'm going to live my life like that now and try to build my business.
Yeah.
When in reality, it's like you're kind of shooting yourself in the foot there.
That's exactly it.
Then let's talk about scaling businesses.
Yeah, I love it.
Right? Because I know you're really good at that. So what is like a common thing from all of the businesses that, first of all, let's talk about what is the biggest number that you've hit per month for one of the clients that you've worked with?
So we've brought in a lot of clients to well over, multiple 6 figures a month. I mean, that's like standard. Bringing a client from, let's say, call it $500,000 a month to like 2 million is a way harder thing to
100%.
do. It's like, because most businesses, and especially in the education space, most businesses haven't been built the foundation to get to $2 million a month. I think in a lot of like boutique businesses, it's very easy to bring someone from 0 to 100K or 0 to 500K if they have a great product, if they've built the basic fundamentals of a team. But it's very difficult to bring them to 2 million. So I would say we've only had about 10 or 20 of our partners like hit above $1 million a month, just because by the time they get there, they need to have built a real foundation, a real team. They have to have product market fit. And in a lot of cases, most of these people in the education space, they're relying 100% on eyeballs. So as soon as those eyeballs dry out and they don't really have a substantial product that's going to carry them through, that they could, scale via paid advertising and through word of mouth, they usually fizzle out.
Yeah. So it's usually like you milk that and then they kind of fizzle out, maybe switch offers, whatever the case is.
Yeah. And listen, some people just want a small business. Like, not everyone wants the headache of running a 200-person company.
Yep.
Like, it's not for the faint of heart. Like, there's a lot of operations that goes into it, and a lot of stress and just
100%.
anxiety of the responsibility it requires to manage an operation of that size. Yeah. So I usually, when someone's, we we've gone through this conversation so many times now where we're speaking with a partner and it's like they don't want to scale. And I'm like thinking in my head, like, why the fuck wouldn't you want to scale? Like, come on, let's have some challenges and adversity here. Let's try to at least get there. And it's like, no, like some cases, you know, we have plenty of clients where, you know, maybe they're a couple and they have some kids and they just want to get their education out there to real estate investors, you know, who share a similar background to them and just want 5 rental properties so that they don't have to worry about potentially losing their job or, you know, the financial security of their family. Yeah. So I have nothing wrong with it. It's like, hey, do your thing.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, that's why it's also so important to understand what you want.
Yeah.
But that's a different discussion. So I guess walk me through the roadmap, right? Let's just say when you walk into businesses, are they typically like at like, let's just say like 200-300K and you scale them up from there?
Yeah. So most businesses that we're going to be working with are probably around 50 to 100K a month. And usually they want to get to around 500K a month. Yeah. Like that's like a healthy range for most education businesses. I would say that's at scale. Anything past that point, now you're like, it's hard to scale past the 500K mark for a lot of education businesses as per, you know, what I had just mentioned. Yeah. But I would say kind of the roadmap as to how they get there, it's usually around that like 50K mark per month. They've established product market fit with their ideal client avatar. So we work with a lot of real estate educators. They need to have an ideal client avatar for their exact audience. And then they've established product market fit. Now it's it's basically our turn to just take over the operations and scale it up. Yeah. So usually that's just a mathematical equation of, okay, how many potential, you know, customers are we speaking to on a regular basis? How many leads have we generated? What's our KPIs on the business? What are our health metrics? Now let's put some salespeople who actually know what they're doing and can say the right things on the phone and not make your brand look like shit and lie to customers, because that's a huge problem with salespeople. It's like, okay, let's make sure they actually have some ethics and morals and they understand real estate and understand your client avatar. Yeah. And then once you put that in place, and now you optimize the funnel, you optimize your pre-call sequences, you optimize your email drip. Yeah. It's just about just pulling little levers, just tweaking things little by little as you receive data. And that's the surefire way to scale any business. As long as you understand your KPIs and then you understand the levers to pull, it's very easy to scale a business. Very true. Yeah. So it's just people don't really look at their numbers. Like you would be so surprised how many fucking business owners have no idea as to the simple KPIs of their business. Yep. And it's like, you're going in blind. No kidding, you have no idea how to scale. Yeah. It's like you don't even know what you're solving for. So I think that's what makes it very easy for us, because we treat it like it's a science project. 100%. Not like an arts and crafts.
Well, because you scaled so many businesses at a point, it's just like financially modeling, right? Yeah. It's like, this makes sense.
Correct.
Right? It's like, can we get the cost per call to this or show rates to this? Yes. Okay, let's scale up.
Exactly.
So are you also running the funnels for your clients, or is it just implementing like the sales team?
So we do not touch marketing.
Gotcha.
At least not paid traffic marketing. Like we do help on the organic side, but the fundamentals of what we do is put in the SDRs, put in the salespeople, put in the sales directors, the sales managers, X, Y, and Z, and then help on the operation side. So if they need to recruit like a project manager or a COO. Okay. Yeah, because in a lot of cases, as they scale, like I told you, the foundations of a lot of these businesses is completely fucked up. So in order for us to not have a high churn rate on clients, we have to help them in that process as well. It's like, okay, we gave you all these customers now. Let's make sure that they're fulfilled on and that, you know, things are running smoothly from an operations standpoint. So that's where we come in on that side.
Yeah, because we were talking about this before, how you started offering the clip rewards, right? To make your offer even stickier.
Exactly.
It sounds like your offer is super sticky because, you are placing that, and then you're also helping with the recruitment.
Right.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So your hiring must be really good then.
Our hiring is one of the best in the world. Like we've really nailed down hiring, and that's thanks to my brother. He's our chief of staff. Okay. So he's been able to build an amazing process, but it's also, I would say it's the culture that we've also built in the business. Like we've put measures in place that it's hard to not have great people come to our business. And one of the key elements, and this is like some free game for everyone out there, we built recently a partnership program in our business, where now every single rep that comes into the business, for every rep that they'll refer, they'll get paid for it. So if they already know someone who's an excellent sales rep and they're working at another company, if they go and recruit them for us, we're going to pay them, you know? So ultimately now they're incentivized to actually go and get the best possible talent in the industry and bring them over, because now not only are they going to be working together, and ultimately that's always fun to be working with your friends, but they're also going to get paid for it. 100%. So I'd rather pay my salespeople than go pay Facebook, you know, to continuously run ads. So that's just another element of like us trying to set up and also create their personal brands through the WAP clipping program. So that's another thing, is like we're trying to build our sales reps up as well so that they could have their own personal brands, they could get their own clients, they could get, you know, their own sales reps. So we try a lot of different things and we just test what works.
Yeah. And is that you coming up with those ideas?
So I am the idea guy for sure. It's probably the arts, you know, kind of background. I have that creative side to me. So a lot of the ideas in that, I guess, sphere, and I'm not going to say, you know, take credit for all the ideas we've ever had in the business, but I have come up with some pretty good ideas.
Oh, that's awesome, man. Where do most of your hires come from aside from that?
So we run Facebook ads.
Okay, so that's
that's we have like a traditional funnel.
Gotcha.
Like, we treat it like we're acquiring a customer.
Gotcha.
Because we know that if we bring in a sales rep, they're going to be generating us, you know, millions of dollars over the course of their tenure with us.
Yeah.
And, you know, they're going to be making probably millions of dollars as well. So we put a huge emphasis on retaining great talent in the business. Of course, sales as a whole is a high churn position just because it's very redundant. You know, there's not a lot of room for growth unless you go into the management side, and great salespeople don't always make great managers.
Yep,
so, you know, there's that element as well. So it's hard to build that ascension model for them. But, you know, when we have a sales rep who's doing, you know, $40,000, $50,000 a month in commissions, it's like we want to hold on to that 100%. Person for a long time.
Yeah. So what are good traits or really important traits that you guys look at when hiring good salespeopeople?
I mean, I'm a little outside of the loop when it comes to like how they go about the process, just because I told you earlier, one of my superpowers is like removing control. And I used to play a huge role in the hiring process, but I would base my hiring principles off of too many emotional factors. So I would be like, you know, do I like this person? Would I be able to have a beer with them? X, Y, and Z. That's not a really good like framework for hiring.
Because like that's kind of how.
Well, that's like most people hire their fucking.
It's like,
company.
Can I get a coffee with you?
Yeah, right.
Okay, I like you.
So it's an element there, but listen, there's all different types of walks of life that get into sales, and just because I might not have an affinity to them and they might not be my type of people, doesn't mean that they can't convince someone or, you know, give someone the right information in order for them to make a buying decision. So I wouldn't say I play a huge role in it, but I definitely would love to tell you guys our process, just because I played a little bit of a role in, you know, going through the hiring process. So of course we have all of these different avenues where we generate our leads, because we treat our hiring process like it's a sales process. I actually came to this revelation when I was on a phone call with Mark Roberge. So he's the author of the Sales Acceleration Formula. And he was basically like one of the early founders of HubSpot and was like their, you know, chief of sales over at HubSpot. And I was harassing this guy for like 5 years. I was like, I need to speak to him. And finally, he just like gives me his number via email. Yeah. So I call him up and I'm like, I'm going through this huge problem right now with our hiring process. We're bringing on all these amazing partners, but we can't seem to hire fast enough. And he's like, you got to treat recruitment like it's sales. You have to treat it like it's a client acquisition structure. Yeah. So one of the big things that we did is we built a funnel around it. We made sure that we put a traditional VSL, we put an application, we made sure that we were running both organic ads, that we were running LinkedIn ads, that we were running Facebook ads, that we had our affiliate partners attributed to it. So one of the things is that we set up is all of our clients, because they all have, you know, big social media followings and people are always pitching them to, you know, become sales reps for them. We're like, hey, you know, give them to us and we're going to give you a little commission for it for the ones that we actually do hire. Yeah. So every single sales rep that would go and DM them would then be sent to us. So now we have this huge influx of individuals that are coming into our pipeline. And then we're basically funneling them to a Loom video where they are presenting like their ability to speak eloquently. You know, do they sound concise? Do they sound proper on the phone? Do they have like that it factor?
Yeah.
So that's what we're kind of vetting for in the original like recruitment process. And then we're bringing them to a group interview. And basically what we're doing is, of course, that's like kind of assessing further, like, does this person really have what it takes? Like, you know, would they be able to convince me, or would they be able to persuade me to take action on anything? So that's the first thing that we're assessing for. But one of the actual hacks, and I learned this from a good buddy of mine, is that once you're in the interview process and you have, let's call it 40 people in a group interview, and they've all given their little stories and they've all tried to convince you as to why you should hire them, what you do is you ask them, if I was to only select 2 of you guys, yourself and another member that you select in this group, and the caveat is that if you select someone and they are unsuccessful in the role, you guys are both terminated from the position. Who would you select from this group? So now you're not just basing it off of your own decision-making process. You're basing it off of 50 other people in the room that assess that this person has that it factor.
That's crazy.
So now you're basically getting, and it's always going to be like the same people. You're going to see like everyone's going to write like 2 or 3 names. And it's like, there you go. You've just solved the vast majority of the hiring process, which is the biases that you're going into that group interview with, which is you're basically basing the entirety of your decision-making framework surrounding hiring off of what you have seen be successful in your organization. That's not good, because the best talent that you're going to hire, you haven't seen yet in your business. So you have to use other people's judgment, people that are coming from all different types of sales organizations.
Perspectives, like,
they've been at bigger companies than you're at right now. They've seen better salespeople than you've ever seen. And now they're assessing who is the best possible candidate for you.
Smart.
So that was a real hack for us. And then, you know, we do one-on-one interviews with them, and then, you know, put them through, you know, training, of course, and all of that jazz. But that was one of the big hacks that like really, really helped us as we were scaling.
Wow. And are you guys using any AI in the hiring process?
We are now. I'm not familiar with it at all, so I won't even go into that side of the equation. But yeah, since probably like a year ago, we've built out like a whole like pipeline. Dev ops like position inside the company. Like I think we have like over 20 developers in the business. So they do a lot of AI stuff that I'm not familiar with.
So what's your day-to-day look like from like morning to night?
Yeah, I would say, listen, I wake up, I take 2 Zins and slap them in my lips. I fucking take a coffee. I slap myself at my desk. Like I don't do like one of those fucking 10-hour long morning routines. I just get to work. Like that is like the basis. And I just I'll have my to-do list that I prepped the night before of like, what are the key action items that I need to do? What are the decisions that I need to make? What stupid documents do I need to send to X, Y, and Z person? What meetings do I have? And usually my day will usually it's going to wrap up around like 3. So past that point, it's really, what do I want to work on? Of course, like people are going to hit me up with all kinds of problems on a day-to-day basis. Like as your company grows and scales, you are just like a funnel for shit in your business. It's actually terrible, but you learn to love it. It makes you really good at problem solving because, you know, people throw problems at you and you're like, oh, wow, I just solved that like in a blink of an eye. So it helps in that regard. But as your company grows and scales, you're going to realize that, you know, the majority of your day is just solving problems. So I'll solve the odd problem here and there, you know, talk someone off a ledge, basically go put out this fire. And that's pretty much my day to day. And then I'll go to boxing and repeat the whole process.
Awesome. So you don't have like this whole morning routine like Ashton. What's his name?
Ashton Hall.
Ashton Hall.
Yeah.
You ain't putting the banana on your face.
I don't go and like dunk my head in
Saratoga.
ice. No. I wake up, like I said, if you want to call it a routine, slap 2 Zins in my mouth with a coffee and get to work.
There you go. You have the spectrum of entrepreneurs who are just like a straight arrow. right? Like dopamine detoxes, all this stuff, boom, 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 boom. And then it's just like, it's cool to see that, yo, you're just some
Just a regular dude, bro.
regular dude who just loves the aspect, who just loves the game.
Yeah.
That's the question I was going to ask you. It's whenever you were 300 pounds, you were just so focused on work. Like, did you ever get burnt out?
So I saw a clip once that basically stated that you don't get burnt out when you're winning. When you're winning, you don't care about the amount of time that you're putting in.
That's so
It's
true.
like, and I've learned this firsthand from boxing. It's like when you're in a fight and you're about to knock the other guy out, it's like you're not going to stop. You're not going to be like, oh my God, I'm actually tired. It's like you're trying to win the fight.
That's so true.
So you don't even think about like, I'm exhausted or I'm burnt out. Like that was never even a thought process. Of course, my body was a byproduct of it, of like, holy shit, you know? I just woke up one morning and I'm like, oh my God, I am fat as fuck. So I had a real moment.
When was that?
That was probably like 2 years ago.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously I neglected a lot of aspects of my life, which in hindsight I regret. And I think there's a more balanced way to go about it.
Yeah.
I think you have people that are on either side of the spectrum where they don't take anything seriously. They, you know, party every single night. You'll see them at all the clubs here in Miami.
Yep.
And, you know, they
All the time.
and those guys go out of business and, you know, it sucks. Or there's the people who are so straight edge that they live no life. And it's like, I just want to kind of be somewhere in the middle. Like, I don't want to be a degenerate. I also want to enjoy my life.
Yeah.
I think like the whole purpose of business is I want to amass capital so I could experience life to the highest degree and enjoy all of the fruits of my labor.
Yeah.
So
And at what point did you start to feel that?
I would say it started to shift probably about 2 years ago. Around 2 years ago, because the business was more established. Once you get your business to a certain point, it kind of works for itself in the sense that you've built up enough of a reputation, you've built enough of a track record where you don't have to be as kind of like a pit bull just trying every single day to just get deals done and knock as many doors or make as many phone calls
just
and
brute
like
force.
it's just you don't have to do that as much. It kind of takes care of itself. And I felt once we got to that certain point, I didn't have to, you know, be so unbalanced. So that's where I started to like focus on my health again, focus on, you know, getting back in shape. So that was like a big journey that I went on. But, you know, controlling all of those factors in my life has helped the business as well, because how are you supposed to respect a man who's not taking care of their physical fitness? It's like that also, you know, played a huge factor in us scaling to where we're at today. It's like my team saw me be morbidly obese and then get a nicer six pack than all of them. And they were like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
You know, so showcasing that if you're disciplined and you're committed to your goals, you could accomplish absolutely anything in life.
Yeah.
And I think that is another testament to being a great leader and showcasing to your team what's possible through your actions. It's not about what you say, it's what you do.
Actions is everything.
Yeah.
I know we talked about the whole religious thing, but like in the Bible, it says like, yeah, live by faith. Well, I don't know those exact same words, but
Yeah.
dude, living by action so other people can see that.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing. And bro, I want to hear more about this like 300-pound thing.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry, that's crazy.
No,
man.
you're good.
So obviously the switch is like, I need to change something.
Yeah.
What'd you do? And how long did that take to get to where, like, cause you're jacked
I'm jacked now. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a complete polar opposite.
Yeah,
It's
like, did you go on a supplement stack, like peptides or anything, or what was that like?
No. So I only played around with peptides this year. One of the biggest factor is like I was already in shape before I got like
Yeah,
out
because
of
your
shape.
pictures, you were like in shape.
Yeah, like back in the day, I was like, for a lot of my like childhood years, I was a boxer. So I was an amateur boxer. I used to, you know, fight in the amateur leagues. That was one aspect. I also lifted weights for a long time. So I already had like, you know, the fundamentals of it. And I knew how to diet because I had to make weight for fights. So I had all of like the core elements. What was lacking was the discipline, or at least the focus. to that particular area of my life. So obviously went super far off the deep end, and I'm not exactly the best possible person when it comes to balance. And I'm working on it, but definitely in most areas of my life. And this is why I've never touched any drugs, because if I ever touched drugs, I would just be a crackhead. So
you would just dive right into
no,
it.
I can't.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure they're great, but I wouldn't be able. I think they're too great, and I would go so far off the deep end that I wouldn't be able to recover. So that happens in a lot of areas of my life, but I'm trying to start to balance things out. And ultimately, what really led to like the turning point was like, if I want to build a great company, if I can't take care of my health, one, I'm not going to be around long enough to see what we've built here. And two, it's not a great testament of your character. People don't want to be led by people that cannot take care of their health.
100%.
It's like, your body is basically your receipt for your activities. 100%. What do you do on a day-to-day basis? When nobody's looking, are you shoveling your fucking face with shit? Are you drinking alcohol on a continual basis? Are you not doing the necessary activities that are going to keep your body and mind healthy?
Yep.
I don't want to follow anyone who's going to be morbidly obese. I'm sorry. I would never be able to.
Doesn't matter what car they have.
Yeah.
Right?
Listen,
materialistic things.
Well, it's the whole thing. It's like, as a man, you want to be able to be multifaceted. I want to be, intellectually capable. I want to have a great physique and be physically capable. I want to have a great business so I could be financially capable. I want to have all of the areas so that way I could experience life to the fullest. And if I'm out of shape, how am I supposed to enjoy the money that I've made if I can't go on a vacation and not put my socks on in the morning and, and like just struggle to like walk places and be tired and out of breath? Like, that's no way to live. So you're uncomfortable 24/7.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. You mind sharing, if you don't want to talk about it, it's all good, but like your relationships with like girls?
Yeah.
Like just like the dating scene, like back in the day, right? Since you were so locked in, that's something else you had to sacrifice.
Yeah.
I'm assuming, right?
I mean, so to be fair, I did have 2 very long-term relationships.
Gotcha.
So I wasn't like,
just dry.
basically. I was still doing okay for myself.
Yeah.
My poor ex-girlfriend who had to deal with that. Oh, like, cause when she met me, I was in shape. And then I got super fat while I was with her.
Yeah.
So she's a real trooper. But anywho, had 2 very long-term relationships. One was 7 years.
Wow.
The other one was 5. So
okay, wow.
Yeah, so I was like, basically in 2 marriages that obviously didn't work out for, a multitude of different reasons, but they're still great women, great girls. I wish them the best. So that was another area where I didn't have to focus on. And I think a lot of young entrepreneurs get really stuck in, I'm just going to go to the club and, bang a bunch of bitches and, and do all of that. And it's like, you're taking so much energy and focus away from your business. And it's like, you're not seeing all of the hidden costs of that. Because I'm only going out once a week, but it's then you're most probably drinking and you're most probably spending at the club and you're most probably organizing Ubers and texting girls and, trying to do all these things that are sucking out time and resources away from you educating yourself and you working on your business. So, I mean, I've heard this before and I kind of really agree with it in that I wouldn't hire someone in like a C-level executive position if they weren't married or in some sort of long-term relationship.
Yeah.
So when I look at a lot of our like C-level executives and a lot of our sales directors, they all have great wives or husbands and they have a committed relationship and it works really well. And that also helps them at work because they don't have to focus on that and they don't have to be out in these streets trying to clap some cheeks. So, it really helps them focus on business.
I heard that as well. It's like you want to hire people who have families, who have kids, because for a fact that they're going to show up because they need to provide for obviously their family.
Well, look at it like this. It's also a trust factor.
Yeah.
Look at any president the States has ever had. Can you think back to a single president who didn't have a significant other?
No.
It never happened. The reason why is because you want someone who's been able to create that stability and also someone who can commit to things for a long time. the thing is with marriage, and I know it's been kind of diluted over the years, but it's supposed to be forever.
Yeah.
Like when you make that commitment, till death do us part.
Yep.
So it's a long-term commitment, and there's going to be ups and downs. And like in business or like in running a fucking country, you got to be able to ebb and flow with those issues that you're going to be presented with on a regular basis. So it just showcases stability. So we hire people who are in relationships. Long story short.
Do you plan on getting married?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would love to. It's just Miami is fucking crazy, bro. These women are unacceptable. Let's just put it like
the
that.
roughest place.
Oh yeah.
You got to go to Boca, man.
Yeah. I've been dabbling a little bit. We'll see.
Boca,
I've been
right.
trying to go to other areas and find some nicer women that are more traditional values, but it's a struggle. Let me tell you.
Yeah. I want to talk with like my audience, because my audience is kind of at my level, hiring their first closer, their first person. You have any tips on that?
Yeah. I mean, listen, you should stay in the sales role for as long as humanly possible.
That's a great question, because somebody asked me that today, because we're helping this agency right now scale. He's currently like at 80,000 a month. He's still taking his sales calls, but he came from a sales background. Like he was literally a manager at Angie's List.
Yeah.
Really good at sales.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to say a bad business owner. He just has things to learn as a business owner, like marketing side, X, Y, and Z. But he asked me today, when should I bring on a closer? Like, what would you tell him?
It's hard to say when.
Yeah.
Because you're going to know when, okay, I am genuinely holding the business back by not having someone in this role. So you're going to be able to make that assessment. But I'll give you some personal experience of how I made the transition. Like we were already doing well over $1 million a month, and I was still taking the sales calls for my business.
Wow.
Now our customer LTV is also super high, so that
makes sense.
attributes to it. So if you're running more of like a B2C product offering, like that might be really hard, and you might need to adjust like what kind of monthly revenue goals you have to make that transition. But I stuck in the sales role till a year and a half ago. You have to be in the trenches for as long as humanly possible till it is genuinely holding your business back.
That's so crazy, because I fully agree with that as well. And then you have the people who are like, I'm just not good at sales. Let me just hire a closer. Have you ever seen that work?
Bro, if you can't fucking sell the vision of your company, how the fuck do you expect anyone to ever sell the vision of your company?
I fully agree.
First of all, one, if you can't sell a customer on your business, how are you supposed to sell your employees on working here?
That's crazy.
How are you supposed to sell anyone on anything? It's like, no, it's non-negotiable. If you're bad at sales, you're also bad at business, because that means you cannot communicate your ideas, which means it doesn't matter how good your product is. If nobody knows about it, you have no fucking customers. Therefore, you have no business. Now, of course, there's the odd instance of, some guy who's in a fucking cubicle and he's like just grinding away, writing code all day long.
Like a dev or something.
He he gets a fucking seed round from YC Combinator or some shit like that.
Yeah.
But like, can you name any? Because I don't.
Nope.
And everyone that I know that's in business that is doing incredibly well in all different types of verticals, whether they're in private equity or they're in fucking even like your traditional like landscaping businesses or something to that effect, are all good at sales. Because you have to be able to communicate your ideas clearly and concisely in order to communicate the value of your product or service. And if you can't do that,
I love that.
you don't have a business.
No, that's so valuable. So many people just need to stick it out, and they just need to get in the trenches and learn.
Yeah.
So many people want to take the shortcut. Oh, I'm just gonna hire a closer. That's it. I'm like, bro, that's never gonna work.
But that's why they're not successful.
Very true.
And it's why a lot of businesses don't make it to a big business or even stay in business long enough to reap the fruits of their labor. It's like most businesses go out of business within the first 2 years.
Yeah, very true. I'm curious to hear your philosophy. Like, should you focus on stacking cash? And for example, like, what did you do when you were like, I don't know, let's just say 100K, 200K per month?
Yeah.
Were you focused on just stacking cash, having a lean team, or did you focus on just hiring as quickly as possible and trying to just like figure it out and not stacking cash, I guess?
So I was always big on stacking cash. I still am to this day.
Yeah.
Of course, I've missed out on a lot of opportunities to invest that money intelligently, but I've always had a lot of peace of mind of just always being very cash heavy.
Yep.
Because it allows me, one, to get those key hires and pay top dollar to get the best possible talent. That's one aspect. Also, when it comes to strategic marketing opportunities and, potential acquisitions, it's always been a really good thing. So I've always tried to be very cash heavy. But in the early stages of the business, when it came to the key hires, I got this actually from Tom Billieu. We had the opportunity of working with him. For the viewers who don't know, he was one of the owners and founders of Quest Nutrition, exited for $1 billion.
Fire.
I got to work very closely with him on his educational product. I was the only salesperson. So I got all of the sauce for free.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh my God, this is like invaluable. And it wasn't a very sexy product, but it was actually a decision-making product. It was like catered on the fact of how do you make decisions in your business. And one of the key elements, and this is a really important hiring framework that I learned early on, was the only time you should ever hire someone in your business is when it is actually holding you back from growth. When it is impossible to scale unless you get another person in that role or in that seat. And what that led us to do is be very efficient with our capital. It allowed us to only hire people when it was an absolute necessity. I didn't hire just for the sake of headcount. I didn't hire for a vanity metric. I didn't hire because I wanted to do less work or my team wanted to do less work. No, motherfucker, you're going to work, I'm going to work, we're all going to work, and we're going to scale this company. And we're only going to hire people when it's an absolute necessity. Now, of course, we've become a little bit more lenient on those principles in later years. But in the early stages, bro, like it was all hands on deck 24/7. And that allowed us to be very efficient with our capital, which led to us stacking a lot of capital, which helped us a lot later on in business.
Huge.
Yeah.
Oh, that was so much sauce right there. Because you already know, like, sometimes you just don't want to do the work, right? And it's like, all right, I'm just going to delegate that because maybe I'm not that. So, like, what's your thought process on that? Let's just say you're not really good at something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Marketing-wise, whatever. Are you going to learn that skill? Or
yeah.
You're going to learn that skill?
So you're going to learn the fundamentals of it. It also depends on your stage of development.
Yeah.
In the beginning of your business, you're everything. Your accounting, your marketing, your sales, your operations, you're fucking the guy who greets people at the door. You're everyone. Of course, as you scale, you need to delegate.
Yeah.
Now, you should understand at least the core competencies behind what you're hiring for. If you ask me how to write code, I can't even fucking write one word of code, yet we've built multiple SaaS products that we use every single day in our business. So do you have to understand the skill set to such a degree that you could do their role? No. But you should understand what good talent looks like for that role. You should have great SOPs and hiring frameworks. You should make sure that you have great management so that when you bring someone in who's supposed to be filling in for that role and leading the charge, that they, one, are self-sufficient, and two, they're actually good at what they're doing. So being able to recognize great talent, that's going to be a huge help in scaling any side of your business.
How much do you think you've spent on like mentorship throughout your career?
A pretty good amount. Like in the early stages, I would spend like 25 to 50K a year.
Yeah.
More or less on just trying to get, whether it be books or direct mentorship or buy someone's program or even go through, to events or even go through like traditional education, like those online Harvard Ed and stuff like that. Just try to consume as much knowledge as possible. Because I think that's one of the easiest levers for you to pull to just become better at business is 100%. Just like, don't be a fucking idiot and actually, learn things. Yeah. So that's really going to help you. A lot of people just assume, well, I'm great at sales or I'm just great at business. Like, no, you're actually half retarded and not really good at all. And you should probably educate yourself so that your customers don't figure that out. So I would say every single entrepreneur should be investing in their education. And that doesn't mean go buy Joe and Harry's fucking mentorship. It means like you should be reading on a continual basis. You should be consuming knowledge in some way or another. Like when I pulled up here, I was listening to Power, the 48 Laws of Power audiobook in the car.
Yep.
It's like, that doesn't take anything out of my day. I was going to listen to music anyways. Was stuck in traffic. I was like, fuck, I should probably like consume some knowledge right now, you know? Yeah. And even like, I love like going to bed with like a TV on. I know a lot of people are like, oh no, you need blacked out curtains and no noise cancellation and I need to take melatonin and no like blue light before bed. Like, no, I go to bed with a fucking blaring screen in my eyes every single night. And like some nights I'll like watch an anime, but most nights I put on a YouTube video, something that's relevant in my business evolution. Right now it's like AI, or it'll be just like human psychology. And I'll find a YouTube video that's interesting and entertaining and I'll put it on. Yeah. And it's like, I'll learn a thing or two before I go to bed. Yeah. And sometimes it'll be playing and I'll hear it in my subconscious and I'll like dream about that thing and doing it in the business. And I'm like, holy shit. Yeah. That's a hack in and of itself. So
yeah. I want to talk about the info industry because that's obviously like you're a big part of that. Yeah. Where do you see the industry going? Obviously, as information's more abundant than ever. Yeah. Where do you see the industry going in the next 5 years?
Yeah. So it's going to go, at least this is my theory on how it's going to evolve. With ChatGPT and all of these AI models just making the information so readily available, what's going to change is how the delivery happens. So what we're already seeing and why most people are shifting away from the traditional education system and to more of the online education industry is because they want to consume the knowledge in a more entertaining way. It's going to go like one of two ways. And I think this is most probably how it's going to happen is people are just going to shift more towards infotainment. Like it's going to be, I want to be entertained as I'm learning. So people's attention spans are just going to reduce even more than they already are. I mean, you probably see it in yourself and everyone. It's like, I see a video and I'm like swiping and just doom scrolling. I'm like, holy shit, I just spent 2 hours looking at fucking the stupidest TikToks.
Yeah, that's so funny that you deal with that.
Bro,
it's just like, it's so funny.
Of course, what do you mean? That's everyone. Anyone who acts like they don't like live a normal life. Yeah. They're just trying to like virtue signal to you. Yep. Like I've met people who make an ungodly sum of money, like more money than we could even imagine. Yeah. And it's like, they're just regular people. I've gotten into some rooms with top level politicians, with Fortune 500 CEOs. And it's like, these people don't really have anything more than you do. It's just, they've just been able to execute at a very high level and they've been consistent. So that's the biggest thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So going back to that, you're saying people want to be educated in an entertaining way.
Yes.
So proceed with that.
I mean, that's the biggest thing. Gotcha. They want to just consume information in a different way. Gotcha. It's like, even with a lot of the education industry as a whole, like all the information's out there. Yeah. Like you want to learn how to buy a house. It's like, you could use any AI model to walk through a whole plan of how you could go about purchasing property in your area. What are the contracts that you need in place? How do you need to screen your tenants? How do you go about hiring a property manager or a contractor? Which process should you go through? Yeah. Am I going to do the BRRRR? Am I going to do, just regular single family, tenants? Am I going to do multifamily?
Section 8, whatever.
Section 8, wholesale, like all of the above. It's really going to just come down to how is that information communicated? And the people who are going to understand how to retain people's attention are the ones who are going to succeed.
100%. I fully agree.
And that is the biggest thing. Because or else if you're just going off the basis of, well, I have the best education, it's like, okay, maybe right now you do, but give it another 2 years and no, you won't.
Yeah, I was watching the CMO of HubSpot. They were building other CMOs that act like Steve Jobs. They're just building these custom GPTs and they're actually like super good, right? Yeah. It's like the mental model is Steve Jobs, think like him in a creative aspect, whatever the case is. And that's just so crazy to me because like, dude, think about 5 years from now. Some like corporate CMOs, they might be gone.
Oh, brother, in 5 years from now, every single profession as we know it will be non-existent.
It's insane.
And the thing is I stress this to my team. So I had an all hands on deck meeting And my executive team got so fucking pissed at me because they're like, you just instilled so much fear into our entire company. Why would you do that?
Yeah.
So I had to like go back and apologize to them and like put it into perspective.
Yeah.
But I like basically went on to like an all hands on deck meeting and I was like, yeah, like you guys better operate with urgency because in 5 years time, like commerce as a whole, as we understand it right now, will shift entirely because AI will replace every single profession. So it's the urgency of creating your wealth now, or else you will genuinely be in perpetual
100%.
generational poverty.
Yeah.
Like it's not even like up for debate or question. You basically have a 5-year window where if you don't make all of the money in the next 5 years that you will ever make for the rest of your life and be able to compound that money to preserve your wealth, your family will be in poverty for, you're fucking cooked. Your entire family will be in poverty for generations.
Did you see the email that the CEO of Fiverr sent out to his team?
I have not, no.
Basically, the exact same thing that you said. He was like, hey, listen, I don't want to say this from a fearful state, basically just out of love.
Yeah.
But basically letting people know from Fiverr, hey, if you don't learn AI or if you don't somehow use it to like increase your efficiency, whatever the case is, you're going to get kicked.
Yeah, 100%.
You know? And it's so crazy because like that example that you just said, I think the gap is going to widen so much in society where you're going to have the winners, like the middle class. Like unfortunately, like I don't think there's going to be a middle class anymore in decades, which is so scary. But that being said, how are you guys, because I know you said you were watching AI videos, how are you guys using AI in your business?
Yeah, I mean, we're not doing anything revolutionary.
Gotcha, yeah.
I mean, we're incorporating as much as we possibly can into our structure. We've recently like played a lot with chatbots. So we've set up Setter.ai, which is one of our companies. It's basically to replace like all kinds of email, text, and any type of lead nurturing system. So it enables us to just be more efficient and not as much have as much overhead when it comes to our SDR division.
Yeah.
It also helps them because they're able to then jump into those conversations and further nurture them. So that's one element. One of the things that we're trying to be a little bit, I would say, more advanced with is one of our SaaS products, which is called SalesView. And it's essentially just a full comprehensive dashboard system for tracking your KPIs in your business, tracking your KPIs for your sales reps, and then improving upon them. So
that's so fire.
Actually working on taking all of the data from your entire business, all of your revenue metrics, all of your classic KPIs that you would have from a marketing standpoint, all of your closing percentages, your lead to book rate, so on and so forth. It's taking that, it's running it through the AI model, and it's using all of our culminated knowledge that we've used to scale companies and now basically spit out feedback. Wow. And on top of that, what we've started to do is now integrate all of our call recordings into it. So now it's improving our sales process as a whole.
Oh, it's
so it's giving us direct feedback based off of those call recordings. And the thing is like our team probably takes over 1,000 sales calls a day.
Sure.
It's like we have 7+ years of data and we've recorded every single call to now feed into this AI model. And it's like, we already had all that data. We just needed a data scientist to go in there, aggregate everything and actually make it digestible to the models and now feed all that information into the software. So that's where it's starting to become a little bit more innovative, but I don't think like the next round of billionaires is going to be solely based on the people who could build AI models. I think one of the things that I saw recently, which I thought was interesting, is it's essentially people who can take groups of otherwise separated, let's call it sales reps or marketers or contractors or plumbers, electricians, and culminate them into one group. So that's kind of what we've already established with our business is like we've taken so many sales reps into one organization and then been able to have companies outsource their sales operations to us.
Gotcha.
And I think there's going to be a very similar kind of structure leading into the future where you're not going to have a company that wants to take on all the overhead of one division. It's also, they're not going to specialize in it.
Yeah.
So what's going to happen is a lot of businesses are going to become specialists and you're going to see less of these companies that are able to do 20 different things. It's going to be, they're able to do one thing exceptionally well, better than the AI models could catch up with, while also incorporating the AI models in order to innovate.
Yeah.
So that's my perception of it, at least.
That's great. That's so good. So for agents, so I want to get into like the stickiness thing, because like that's huge what you just said, right? You have this big group where you just offer so much. It's just like you're irreplaceable in a sense.
Yeah.
Like if they replace you, they're losing money.
Correct.
So I guess, I mean, this is a different subject, but for like an average marketing agency, because that's the audience that we have. I know you have a sales agency, but it's kind of the same concept.
Yeah, it's more or less the same.
When would you say that you're ready to start adding other kind of divisions inside of your company to where you can incorporate like more things to the offer?
That's an excellent question. I would ask a question back to the audience of, are you just trying to make more money from your clients, or are you trying to solve a problem?
Yeah.
Because everything that we've done as a vertical has been based off of the premise of our customers needed this. And we had the option of, hey, you could figure it out yourself.
Yeah.
You could get this person we're going to refer that's probably not even going to be that good.
Yeah.
Or we could help you throughout that process. Now, of course, we stick within our wheelhouse of things that we're already doing, that are already working, that it's very easy and there's not a lot of restructuring of entire divisions, so I could build this product so I can make a little bit more money.
Makes sense.
I want to be the best in the world at building sales operations and ensuring that we manage the sales ops effectively and correctly, rather than, okay, I'm also doing marketing.
Yeah.
And I'm also doing customer fulfillment.
Yeah.
And I'm also doing X, Y, and Z. So all the product offerings that we've built, yes, some of them are slightly falling outside of our wheelhouse, but that's also, we've built, we have 90 plus partners that we work with in the business that are all doing over $100,000 a month. It's like we work with a lot of businesses.
Yeah.
They have a lot of needs and it's different for a lot of them.
Yeah.
So,
but that was built on the backbone of you being the number one at sales operations.
Correct.
Right? So first focus on building that aspect of it, being the number one, and then you can start to add other sectors.
The whole thing that I would tell to any like new business owner or even someone who's been in business for a while, but they haven't hit their revenue goals, is like, if you become the best in the world at one individualized skill set, it is impossible not to make money. It genuinely is impossible. Like, I'm not the best at sales, but I was the best at building sales operations. And that in and of itself, even though I wasn't, the best speaker or was the best at sales or the best business owner, I relied on that one fundamental skill, and that's what carried us to success. Because then I was able to go hire for the people who were the best in the world at sales, who could come into my organization and help with the sales process, who could build out marketing teams, who could build out operations teams. So that I just relied on that one individualized skill set, and that's what allowed me to scale.
Awesome. So much sauce, man. So much value. We're going to have one final question here. If you were to go back 10 years ago, would you have done anything differently?
I wanted to go out fat as fuck, that's for sure. But besides the point, no, man, I think a lot of people like assume that there's one answer to success. And it's like, no, it's really just testing a lot of things and being incredibly resilient. And when people tell you no, you just keep pushing and you keep pushing. And when things aren't working out for you and it's like, I don't really know if I could do this, the one thing that has always kept us on track is like, if it was easy, everyone would do it. It's supposed to be hard.
Nope.
Building a great body is hard. Having a great marriage is hard. Doing anything of any substance is going to be difficult.
Yep.
Especially building a great business. So if you want to build something that's incredibly impactful, it's like listening to me tell you of the one thing that I would have changed on the fucking, I'd probably change a million things. I would have invested in Bitcoin a little bit earlier. If I would have went back to when I'm 6, I probably would have picked up some more fucking properties. Of course, there's a million different things that we could go back in hindsight and correct for. But ultimately, business comes down to first principles. And it's like, if you just don't fuck people over and you do things with integrity and you educate yourself on a regular basis and you stay consistent and you set your time horizon for 10 plus years, it's like, how are you going to lose? It's like you're just stacking up every single day in business, this goodwill and this consistency and this momentum. And eventually it just gets to the point where it just takes off on its own.
I think expanding your time horizon is the biggest thing there, because so many people want to do something that takes this much time.
Yeah.
In this, when in reality, like, yeah, let's just say your goal takes this much time. Maybe you could do it in this time.
Yeah.
But people are like, nah. When in reality, it just literally takes time.
But I don't want people to use that as an excuse to not operate with urgency.
Yep.
Like every day you wake up, you should be like, I need to become a billionaire today. But ultimately, you have to set your expectations of, I also might never become a billionaire, or I might never build a successful business, but I'm going to fucking certainly try my hardest every single day. That's not going to lead to me not operating with urgency. It's like, I know that if I do this for 10 years, it would be unreasonable. But if it takes 20, I'm in the fucking game. I'm here for the long haul. I'm not going anywhere. Might as well. What else am I going to do? Watch Netflix? Fucking this other, I want to accomplish my goals, and it doesn't matter how long it takes me to get there. I just take it day by day.
Amen. Awesome. Ambro, thank you so much, man.
Thank you for having me, man.
Thank you. Hope you guys enjoyed that. Peace.